దూర విద్యా విధానంలో డాక్టర్ బిఆర్ అంబేద్కర్ ఓపెన్ యూనివర్సిటీ దేశంలోనే మొట్టమొదటి సార్వత్రిక విశ్వవిద్యాలయం. దాదాపు 2.5 దశాబ్దాలుగా దూర విద్యా విధానం ద్వారా కంప్యూటర్ కోర్సును అనుసంధానం చేస్తూ BA, BCom, BSc డిగ్రీ కోర్సులను అందిస్తోంది. పోస్ట్ గ్రాడ్యుయేషన్ స్థాయి, డిగ్రీ, డిప్లొమా స్థాయి కోర్సులను ఔత్సాహికులైన విద్యార్థులకు అందిస్తోంది. డెవలప్మెంట్ స్టడీస్లో సెంటర్ ఫర్ ఎకనామిక్స్ అండ్ సోషల్ స్టడీస్ ద్వారా ఎంఫిల్, PhDతో పాటు విశ్వవిద్యాలయమే స్వయంగా దూర విద్యా విధాన అంశంపైన PhD వంటి పరిశోధన కోర్సులు ప్రవేశపెట్టింది. సుమారు 4.5 లక్షల మంది విద్యార్థులు ఈ విశ్వవిద్యాలయం నుంచి ఉన్నత విద్యావకాశాలు పొందుతున్నారు. డాక్టర్ బిఆర్ అంబేద్కర్ సార్వత్రిక విశ్వవిద్యాలయం స్థానికంగా స్వయం బోధనా పద్ధతిలో ముద్రణ రూపంలో రూపొందించిన కోర్స్ మెటీరియల్ అందిస్తోంది. కోర్స్ మెటీరియల్ అధ్యయనానికి సహకరించే విధంగా రేడియో, టెలివిజన్ పాఠ్యాంశాల ఆధారంగా కార్యక్రమాలు ప్రసారం చేస్తోంది. అధ్యయన కేంద్రాల ద్వారా ఏర్పాటు చేసే సలహా సంసర్గ తరగతులు, సైన్స్ ప్రాక్టికల్ సౌకర్యాలు విద్యార్థులకు స్వయం అధ్యయనానికి ఒక చక్కటి అవకాశం. ఇవి విద్యార్థి సమీపంలో ఉండే అధ్యయన కేంద్రం నుంచే పొందొచ్చు.
Welcome to today's teleconference program. In this program, you are going to learn about rings. దీనినే తెలుగులో వలయాలు అని కూడా అంటాం. This is in the course of algebra. Algebra అంటే బీజగణితం. This is for 60 minutes program. In the first 40 minutes, experts will discuss the topic. In later 20 minutes, you can contact with us to clarify your doubts within specified topic only. For that, I will give contact numbers here. Please note down 040 270 31431, 040 270 31432, 040 270 31433. To discuss about this topic, we have two eminent experts in the studio. Let me introduce them. Dr. Govardhan, Associate Professor of Mathematics, Osmania University. Welcome you, sir.
Thank you, madam.
Another expert, Dr. Kamala, Osmania University, Associate Professor of Mathematics. Welcome you, madam.
Thank you, madam.
In this program, you are going to learn about the content like the concept of the rings, the concept of the integral domain and fields and ideals, as well as quotient rings with an examples and also some elementary properties of recording all these. Now let me start this discussion about the rings. Sir, can you please talk about some historical background of rings?
Why not? Abstract algebra has a rich history of more than 100 years with the enormous contributions from the people like Serge Lang, Cauchy, Cayley, Dedekind, Hilbert, Frankel and several others. It has grown into an independent branch of mathematics. Even to mention few tidbits of this particular history of abstract algebra, the time is insufficient. As time is a major constraint on us, let me mention few words. Richard Dedekind, a German mathematician, introduced the concept of a ring.
Yeah.
The term number ring was first coined by another German mathematician, David Hilbert, in the context of algebraic number theory. The Adolf A. Frankel is the man who has given thorough axiomatic definition of a ring in 1914. He is also a German mathematician.
Exactly. Yes. Madam, groups are with one binary operation. Are there structures with more than one binary operation?
Yes, madam. We have structures with more than one binary operations. The first example is the algebraic structure called ring. A non-empty set R together with two binary operations plus and dot, it is said to be a ring if R together with addition is an abelian group, R together with multiplication is a semi group, that is only associative law is true. And the third condition is the link between these two binary operations plus and dot, that is whenever A, B and C are elements of R, A dot B plus C is equal to A dot B plus A dot C, A plus B dot C is equal to A plus B dot C.
Yeah.
You can see the slide. R plus is a abelian group, R dot is semi group, and A dot B plus C is A dot B plus A dot C, A plus B dot C is A plus C dot B plus C. And added to these axioms, if you have the extra condition that A dot B is equal to B dot A for all A B belong to R, then such a ring is called as commutative ring. And you can see the slide. A ring R plus dot is said to be ring with identity if there exists an element 1 belonging to R such that A dot 1 is equal to A is equal to 1 dot A. This 1 is not integer 1 always, we just denote it by the alphabet 1. If a ring has the commutative property with respect to multiplication, it is said to be a commutative ring.
With
If a ring has ring with identity, it is called as ring with identity. And suppose an element A belonging to R, A not equal to 0, 0 means here I mean additive identity. That element A, corresponding to that element A, if you have an element B such that A dot B is equal to 1 is equal to B dot A, then that element A is called as invertible element or a unit, and the element B is called as inverse of the element A.
Sir, can we look into some elementary properties of rings?
Yeah, sure, madam. As groups also enjoy certain set of properties, rings do enjoy certain set of properties. The main difference between groups and rings is that the group is a structure with single binary operation and a ring
exactly.
is a structure with two operations.
Two operations.
And we have listed out some properties of rings here. Just let's look at the side. If R is a ring and A comma B are two elements in the ring R, then we have a few properties here we have mentioned. 0 dot A is equal to 0 is equal to A dot 0. A dot minus B is equal to minus A dot B is equal to minus of AB. Minus A dot minus B is equal to AB. A dot B minus C is equal to A dot B minus A dot C. A minus B dot C is equal to AC minus BC.
Yeah.
These are few properties. The proofs can be had very easily by the definition itself.
Yeah.
You can read out the proofs for these few statements easily from the definition of a ring. You can look at one example. The set of all integers under usual addition and multiplication forms a ring. The ring is in fact a commutative ring because multiplication is commutative, and this ring also possesses multiplicative identity, namely 1. You can also see that 1 and minus 1 are the only units in this particular ring. అంటే పూర్ణాంకాల వలయంలో
Exactly.
1, -1 మాత్రమే ఏకకాలు. ఇది వినిమయ వలయం కూడా అవుతుంది, ఎందుకంటే పూర్ణాంకాల గుణకారం అనేది
Yeah.
వినిమయం కూడా.
Exactly.
యా, అంతేకాకుండా ఇంకో ప్రత్యేకమైన సందర్భం చూస్తే చాలా ఇంట్రెస్టింగ్గా ఉంటుంది. దెర్ ఇస్ ఎ స్పెషల్ కేస్ ఇన్ విచ్ మల్టిప్లికేటివ్ ఐడెంటిటీ అండ్ additive identity in a ring become equal. Let us investigate what type of this ring could be. Suppose R plus comma dot is a ring with additive identity and multiplicative identity being equal. We shall see what are the elements of that particular ring are. And my claim is that this contains a single element 0. So this can be verified as follows. Look at the slide. If A is any arbitrary element of R,
Yeah.
then A is equal to A dot 1 because of multiplicative identity property. The same thing is equal to A dot 0 because 0 is again multiplicative identity, but A dot 0 by one of the properties we have seen just now should be equal to 0. In other words, every A that you have drawn from R is becoming 0. And what does that mean? This is a typical ring in which the typical ring contains one and only one ring, and this has got a special name, namely trivial ring.
Exactly.
తెలుగులో చెప్పాలంటే దీన్ని తృణప్రాయమైన వలయం అంటాం. ఈ
శుద్ర
వలయం
వలయము. Okay.
తృణప్రాయమైన ఆర్ శుభ్ర వలయం అంటాం. దీంట్లో ఒకే ఒక మూలకం ఉంటుంది, అది 0.
Okay.
రైట్?
Okay. Madam, can you give some examples of rings?
Yes, madam. We have interesting examples in this. One example which sir has already discussed is set of integers under addition and multiplication. The other interesting example is if x is any set, power set of x is set of all subsets of x. Now, if x has n elements, power set of x has 2 to the power of n elements. Now, we will make this power set of x into a ring by defining two operations plus and dot on this. We define plus on the elements of p of x as a plus b. You can see the slide. If a and b are two elements of p of x, a plus b is defined as a minus b union b minus a, which is nothing but symmetric difference of the two sets a and b. A dot b is nothing but intersection of two sets a and b. By the way we have defined addition and multiplication, it is very clear that plus and dot are binary operations on the set p of x. P of x plus dot is a ring where the additive identity 0 is nothing but null set phi, and the multiplicative identity which we usually denote by integer 1 is nothing but the whole set x. Now, what are this px plus dot forms a ring. It satisfies all the properties of ring. The units of p of x plus dot is, there is only one unit in this, that is an element which has multiplicative inverse. X is the only element in p of x which has multiplicative inverse, and this example is interesting when x is an empty set. When x is an empty set, then this p of x has only one element, that is singleton phi. This is an example of a commutative ring in which multiplicative identity and additive identity both are equal. The next example what you are going to discuss is a non-commutative ring. You can see the slide. Let R be 2 by 2 matrices whose entries are from set of integers. Here the 0 element, which is nothing but additive identity, is the 2 by 2 matrix 0 0 0 0. Multiplicative identity is the matrix 1 0 0 1. I say this R plus dot is a non-commutative ring because given two elements 1 0 1 1 0 1 0 1 0, this is equal to 0 1 1 1, which is not equal to 0 1 1 0 1 0 1 1. In other words, I have given you two matrices where A into B is not equal to B into A. The third example is set of all even integers where the elements are 0, 2, 4, 6 and so on, minus 2, minus 4 and so on. This set of even integers we denote it by ZE. ZE plus dot is an example of commutative ring, and this ring has no multiplicative identity because the integer 1 does not belong to this ring, madam. And you have ZE plus dot is a subring of Z plus dot. The concept of subring will be discussed by my colleague Dr. C. Govardhan.
Yeah. Sir, are there subsets of rings which are also rings on their own right?
Yeah, madam, there are some subsets of rings which also become rings on their own right.
As madam told
Yeah,
that.
for example, if I take any ring R plus comma dot, we can look into some subsets S of R which also become ring on their own right. In other words, if R plus comma dot is a ring and S is a non-empty subset of R, then if S itself is going to become a ring under the operations available in R, then we say that S is a subring of R. Then a natural question arises. Given some subset S which is non-empty of a ring R, how would we check that it's going to become a subring? That's a question.
Yeah.
సో ఏదైనా వలయం ఇస్తే
Yeah.
దానికి ఒక శూన్యేతర ఉపసమితి కనుక ఇచ్చినప్పుడు
Okay.
అది ఎప్పుడు ఉపవలయం అవుతుంది అనేది క్వశ్చన్.
Yeah.
నిర్వచనం ప్రకారం ఓకే ఆ కండిషన్స్ ఉన్నప్పుడు దాన్ని ఏమంటాం, ఉపవలయం అంటాం.
ఉపవలయం.
కానీ ఇచ్చిన శూన్యేతర సమితి ఉపవలయం ఎప్పుడు అవుతుంది, అట్లా కావడానికి నియమం ఏంటి,
Okay. Conditions.
ఇట్లాంటి విషయాన్ని చూసినప్పుడు
Okay.
సో అట్లాంటి ఏమైనా ఆవశ్యక పర్యాప్త నియమాలు ఉన్నాయా అంటే
Okay. A necessary
ఉన్నాయి.
and sufficient
ఉన్నాయి. Yeah.
condition.
So there is a necessary and sufficient condition
Yeah.
for a subset of a ring to be a subring. Here we look at the slide. A necessary and sufficient condition for a subset of a ring to be a subring. Let us begin with the ring R plus comma dot and S a non-empty subset. Then this S plus comma dot is a subring of R if and only if two conditions are fulfilled. Number one, whenever A comma B belong to S, A minus B should belong to S. The condition 2 is that whenever A comma B belong to S, A dot B should belong to X. In other words, if S satisfies these two conditions, it's going to become a subring of R. You need not mention verify the remaining conditions for S to become a subring. These two conditions are going to be sufficient to check whether a non-empty subset is a subring or not. If you look into some examples, if R plus comma dot is a ring and S plus comma dot is a subring of R, then you can see that R plus comma dot is commutative. As such, that property should follow hereditarily to its subring also, namely S plus comma dot is also a commutative one. Remember another point, if R is a ring with a unity or R is a ring with identity, that need not imply that S plus comma dot is also going to have the same identity.
Identity.
That's not guaranteed. That means having identity is not a hereditary property.
Maybe, may not be, sir.
Yes. అంటే ఒక ఉపవలయానికి దాని ఒక వలయం నుంచి గుణకారతత్వం వారసత్వంగా పరిణమించాలని ఏం లేదు.
Okay.
కానీ వినిమయం అనే ఏదైతే లక్షణం ఉందో అది ఆటోమేటిక్గా ఉపవలయాలకు కూడా వర్తిస్తుంది. ఉపవలయాలకు కూడా. Yeah, we have already seen some examples of these subrings. Like the ring of integers is going to form a subring of this one, or set of all multiples of 4 also form a subring of ring of integers, and so on. You can mention a number of
That is known as
examples.
Cartesian product, sir.
Not Cartesian.
No.
If I start with any ring of start with the ring of integers, you take k to be an integer.
Okay.
Multiples of k form a subset of z.
Yeah.
Even that is also going to become a subring of r. Like that, you start with any integer k.
Yeah.
You can have that particular kz, which is also going to become a subring of z. You can produce numerous subrings of a single ring R. Right?
Madam, we know that the powers of an element in a group. Can we have similar powers in rings as well?
Yes, madam. We can talk about multiples of an element, and also we can talk about powers of an element in a ring. If R plus dot is a ring and A is an element of R, we define multiples of A as n into A is equal to 0 if n is equal to 0. You can see the slide. N into A is equal to A plus A n times if n is greater than 0, and if n is less than 0, minus A plus minus A plus minus A, which is minus n times if n is less than 0. Here minus A is nothing but additive inverse of the element A. So, we have defined multiples of A in 3 cases where n is 0, n is less than 0, n is greater than 0. Similarly, you can define powers of an element, that is A to the power of n. A to the power of n is defined as identity. Here identity means multiplicative identity if n is 0. If n is greater than 0, you are multiplying A n times, A into A into A n times, and if n is less than 0, we are multiplying A inverse minus n times, A inverse into A inverse into A inverse minus n times. Here it is, this makes sense only when the element A has got multiplicative inverse, that is A to the power of minus 1. So, we have defined A to the power of n for n is equal to 0, n greater than 0 and n less than 0. Now, these powers of an element satisfy the usual laws of indices, that is A to the power of n into A power m is A power m plus n, A to the power of m whole power n is A power m into n, and n into A plus m into A is m plus n times A. Now, we discuss one of the examples, that is Zn plus n dot n, that is Zn is set of all integers given by 0 to n minus 1. In this we define addition modulo n and multiplication modulo n. If A and B are two elements of Zn, we define A plus the suffix n which is given in the slide denotes that it is addition modulo n. So, A plus B is nothing but the usual A plus B. If A plus B is less than n, and A plus B is nothing but A plus B minus n if A plus B is greater than or equal to n. And A dot B is also defined in a similar way. The n under the dot, suffix n under the dot is nothing but multiplication modulo n. A dot B is given by R, where R is nothing but the remainder when the product A B is divided by n.
A dot B modulo n means which is equal to the remainder
when the product A B is divided by n. So, if A B is equal to n q plus r, here q is the quotient, r is the remainder, where q and r are well defined by division algorithm. So, A into B is equal to n q plus r. So, we take product A B as r. So, obviously, because r is the remainder, 0 is less than or equal to r less than n.
Exactly.
In this ring, A belong to Zn is a unit if and only if GCD of A and n is equal to 1. And we have set of integers which is denoted by Z, set of rational numbers which is denoted by Q, you can see the slide, and you have the set of real numbers denoted by R, the set C is set of complex numbers, and all these form a ring. Z plus dot is a ring, Q plus dot is a ring, R plus dot is a ring, C plus dot is a ring, and these rings have a property that Z is subset of Q, Q is subset of R is subset of C, where C denotes set of complex numbers.
Yes, exactly.
And the product of rings also we can define. My colleague will discuss these rings.
Sir, are there subrings in which the identity is different from the identity in the parent ring?
Yeah, madam. Identity which is available in a ring need not be same identity which is available in subring. But before discussing that one, I would like to look into one simple technique. When we are discussing about rings, unless the rings are plenty in number, I think making out a thorough discussion on rings does not make any sense. I will give you a technique using which we can create number of rings with known few. For example, if R1, R2, Rn are n rings, then we can define a new ring R1 cross, R2 cross, etc. Rn, Cartesian product of these n rings in the following way. Let us try to look at the slide. If R1, R2, Rn are n rings, let us consider Cartesian product of these R1, R2, Rn, and we shall impose two binary operations plus and a dot on R as follows. You take the centuple A1, A2, An, B1, B2, Bn from that Cartesian product. The sum and products are so different. There is a small error here. This should have been, second operation should have been dot here. A1, A2, An plus B1, B2, Bn is equal to A1 plus B1 comma A2 plus B2 and so on, An plus Bn. That is, addition of these n tuples is coordinate wise addition. Similarly, go for product of these two n tuples as the coordinate wise multiplication. That is, A1, A2, An dot B1, B2, Bn is equal to A1 B1 comma A2 B2 and so on An Bn. With these usual operations, the Cartesian product is also going to become a ring. In other words, if you are known to few rings with you, you can straight away go for construction of new rings. Thus, with a single ring, we can produce infinitely many rings. So, thus the rings are plenty in number, so that a big discussion on rings certainly makes sense. And let us try to look at another construction of rings. Through a ring R plus comma dot given, you start with any subset, any set x not equal to phi. You can look into the collection of all functions from x into R, and I can make out this particular collection of all functions of x into R, which we denoted by R power x, as a ring by introducing two binary operations plus comma dot as follows. Here R power x is the set of all mappings from x into R, and on this I am trying to define two binary operations plus comma dot. This f plus g of x is equal to fx plus gx, f dot g of x is equal to fx into gx for all x in x, f comma g in R power x. You can verify all routine laws which make out this one to be a ring in its own right. Let me come to your main question. That if when you look into the group theory part of it, and సమూహవాదం తీసుకుంటే ఏదైనా ఒక ఉపసమూహం కనుక తీసుకుంటే సమూహానికి ఉపసమూహంలోని తత్సమము సమూహం తత్సమం రెండు ఒకటే.
ఒకటే అవుతాయి.
కానీ విచిత్రం ఏమంటే
రింగ్స్
వలయాల్లో అట్లా కూడదు. వలయాల్లో సంకలనం దృష్ట్యా అదే తత్సమం ఉంటుంది,
ఓకే
కానీ
మల్టిప్లికేటివ్
గుణకారం దృష్ట్యా మాత్రం తత్సమం ఉండాల్సిన అవసరం లేదు ఇందులో ఉపవలయంలో.
ఉపవలయం.
అది సంథింగ్
దట్ ఈస్
స్ట్రైకింగ్
ద
డిఫరెన్స్.
డిఫరెన్స్ బిట్వీన్ సమూహాలు అండ్ వలయాలు.
అది కూడా
Okay.
అది చాలా విచిత్రమైన విషయం కూడా ఏం కాదు. ఎందుకంటే ఒక వలయం తీసుకుంటే దాంట్లో
Okay.
రెండు ఆపరేషన్స్ ఉన్నాయి, ఒకటి కూడిక ఇంకోటి గుణకారం.
యా టూ
ఈ
ఆపరేషన్స్.
కూడిక దృష్టినే దానికి సమూహ
Okay.
సమూహ
So,
రూపత ఉంది, అంతేకాని
it is
గుణకారం
a-
దృష్ట్యా
yeah.
సమూహం కాకపోవడం వల్ల వారసత్వంగా వలయంలో తత్వం అనుకుంటే అదే తత్వం ఉపవలయానికి రావాలని ఏం లేదు.
ఓకే
సో నీకు ఇంకో ఎగ్జాంపుల్ చెప్పాలంటే, స్పెసిఫిక్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ చెప్పాలంటే మీకు ఈ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ తీసుకుందాం. ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్, if I look into the Cartesian product of the ring of integers, as we have seen just now,
యా
z cross z itself is a ring.
యా
And if I take z cross singleton 0,
ఓకే
it's going to be a subset of z cross z,
యా
and
ఎగ్జాక్ట్లీ.
with the same under usual operations,
Yeah.
and
Yes.
that is also going to become a ring.
రింగ్.
And surprising thing is that this z cross 0 has got identity 1 comma 0, and this z cross z has got multiplicative identity 1 comma 1.
1 comma.
So 1 comma 0 is not the same as 1
Yeah,
comma 1.
exactly.
This is something beautiful which cannot be seen there in the group theory.
యా
The identity
That's
of subring is different from identity of the ring
That's
in
what we
this
have to know.
example.
Yeah.
So therefore that having identity in a subring is not a hereditary property. వారసత్వంగా ఏకాఏకిగా
Okay.
వలయం నుంచి కిందికి రావాలని ఏం లేదు.
ఓకే
కానీ
Yes.
తత్సమం వలయం సంకలనం దృష్ట్యా
Okay.
మాత్రం వస్తుంది,
Okay.
దాంట్లో ఇబ్బంది లేదు ఎందుకంటే అది సమూహం కాబట్టి.
Yeah.
ఇంకో ఎగ్జాంపుల్, చాలా ఇంపార్టెంట్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్, ఇది Gaussian integers. This particular example of rings is known with the name the ring of Gaussian integers, honoring CF Gauss, and this particular nomenclature is by G.H. Hardy and E.M. Wright in the textbook on elementary number theory.
యస్ సార్.
This ring of integers is the set of integers elements of the form a plus ib, where let's look at the slide please. Let's
A
look at
and
the
B are
slide.
integers.
Yes.
the-
Zi, we denote this particular Gaussian integers by the set, by the symbol Zi, which consists elements of the form a plus ib, where a and b are integers. Then this Zi is going to become a ring under the usual operations of complex numbers addition and complex numbers multiplication. Under those two usual operations, this is going to become a ring.
యా
This ring is known with the name ring of Gaussian integers.
ఓకే
Right? But I would like to show you another very interesting example also. In the case of rings,
Yeah.
we denote additive identity by 0, multiplicative identity if exists by 1.
ఓకే
Right?
ఓకే
But there is a beautiful example of a ring wherein
Okay.
additive identity becomes 1, multiplicative identity becomes 0.
జీరో.
So this also should not be a surprising one, because it all depends on the structure imposed on the ring.
రింగ్.
ఈ విషయం కూడా మరి చాలా ఆశ్చర్యకరమైన విషయం ఏం కాదు. ఎందుకనంటే గుణకార తత్సవమైనా లేకుంటే సంకలన తత్సవమైనా ఆ వలయం మీద మనం ఏవైతే పరిక్రియలు నిర్వచిస్తామో దాని మీద ఆధారపడి వస్తుంటాయి కదా, కాబట్టి అది విషయం ఏం కాదు. బట్ అయినప్పటికీ కూడా ఒక రకంగా చాలా
అంటే
ఇంట్రెస్టింగ్.
దాని సహజత్వం దానికి అలాగే ఉంటుందన్నమాట.
అంటే మనం ఈ సున్నా తత్వం అనగానే
Okay.
ఒకటి దాని యొక్క గుణకార తత్వం అనగానే మనకు ఉద్దేశం ఇంప్రెషన్ ఏముంటుంది,
Yes,
ఎప్పుడు
sir.
సున్నా అంటేనే తత్వం, ఒకటి అంటేనే తత్వం,
Yeah,
మల్టిపుల్
okay.
గుణకార తత్వం అనుకుంటాం.
Okay.
అట్లేం కాదు.
అట్లేం కాదు. బట్
అట్లేం కాదు.
ఎనీవే ఇట్ ఈస్
it all depends on the
Yeah.
operations defined on
Yeah.
it. For example, let us look at this particular example. Look at the slide. Let's take this set of all integers only, but this time we define different operations, not usual operations please. So let me define those operations by encircled star, encircled dot as follows. For any two integers a and b, we shall define a encircled plus b is equal to a plus b minus 1, a encircled dot is equal to dot b is equal to a plus b minus ab. Under these operations, one can easily verify with the routine verification that this is going to become a ring. This or along with these two operations is going to become a ring, in which you can see that additive identity is 1, because this a plus 1, the 1 is missing here in the typing. A plus 1 is equal to a is equal to 1 plus a. You can just break and you can see. Similarly, additive inverse of a is minus a plus 2, because you take a plus minus a
Minus,
plus 2. It should be equal to a plus minus a plus 2 minus something. You simplify this,
మైనస్
ultimately
ఏ
you end up
ఇంటూ
with 1.
మైనస్ ఏ ప్లస్ టూ.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that ends up with 1. So therefore multiplicative identity exists and it's 0.
Yeah.
Additive identity is 1.
Yeah.
That is something different. 0 is equal to 1, 1 is equal to 0.
Yeah, yeah.
But 0 and 1s which are to be spoken thoroughly
Okay.
depending on the context.
Okay.
Here the operation is something different. 0 is becoming 1, 1 is becoming 0. Right?
Okay.
So, but there comes another very interesting class of rings known with the name
Example.
integral domains.
Very
Which will be
important
spoken by him.
example. Okay.
Right.
Madam, we know that for example, for any complex numbers Z1 and Z2,
Yes.
if Z1 into Z2 equal to 0, then we can say either Z1 equal to 0 or Z2 equal to 0. Is it in the case of rings also?
No madam, it is not the case always.
Okay.
Whenever product of two elements is 0, does not always mean that at least one of them 0, because you have a definition what is called as 0 divisor. If R plus dot is a ring, a non-zero element A belonging to R is called as a 0 divisor if there exists another element B such that A dot B is 0. If A is not equal to A is a non-zero element and there is another element B which is also not 0, but the product is 0. If such a B exists, then you say A is a 0 divisor. You can see the examples over here. For example, we have already discussed set of integers modulo n. If you take n is equal to 6, that is set of integers modulo 6 under addition modulo 6 and multiplication modulo 6.
That means Z6 plus dot.
Z6 plus dot, or you can also take Z4 plus dot. We have given it in the slides. In Z6, 2 is a non-zero element, 3 is a non-zero element, but by the way we have defined multiplication in Z6, 2 into 3 is 6, but 6 is taken as 0 in Z6. That is 2 is not 0, 3 is not 0, but 2 into 3 is 0. So, 2 is called as 0 divisor.
That means 2 into 3 is divided by 6.
2 into 3 is 6, 6 when divided by 6 we take the remainder.
Yeah.
That is what in Z4 2 into 2 is 4, but 4 is taken as 0 because you are dividing 4 with 4 and taking the remainder. So, 2 is not 0, but 2 into 2 is 0. So, such an element which is a non-zero element and there is another element B which is also not 0, but the product is 0, such an element is called as 0 divisor.
Madam, as you took example, A is equal to B is equal to same element.
Yes,
Is
you
it
can
okay?
take it. We can take it. We
it?
can take.
Okay.
For an element A
Yeah.
which is not 0, you should have another element B which is not 0. B can be equal to A, but the product should be 0.
Okay, definitely.
Product should be
exactly.
0.
In the same ring, you can take 3 and 4. They are
Yeah.
different.
Yeah.
Product is again 12. 12 is 0.
Yeah,
12 is 0.
exactly.
Need not be the case. They can be
But
different terms.
this may not be possible in Z5 because 5 is a prime number.
Yeah.
So, whenever in the case of Zn, whenever n is a prime number, such rings will not have these 0 divisors.
Yeah.
And these 0 divisors have got an important property. You can see the slide. Let R plus dot be a ring with identity. If A is a unit in R, then A cannot be a 0 divisor. The word unit means A has got a multiplicative inverse, that is A inverse exists. If A is a unit in R, A inverse exists, that is A into A inverse is 1, which is equal to A inverse into A. If A dot B is equal to 0 and A is not equal to 0, then multiplying both sides by A inverse into A into B is equal to 0, showing that B is equal to 0.
Exactly.
So, if A is a unit and A inverse exists, then A dot B is equal to 0 simply means that B is equal to 0. So, if A is a unit, A cannot be a 0 divisor. Now, the same thing you can extend to set of integers modulo n, where you define plus and dot on Zn. The following are equivalent. If A is not a 0 divisor in Zn, A is a unit in Zn, A and n are relatively prime. The word, what I mean by the word the following are equivalent is, if one of these three properties holds, the other two properties will automatically be true. We have given the proof for this. If A into x, you have the congruence, Ax congruent 1 mod n has a unique solution if and only if GCD of A and n is 1. This is one of the famous results in the congruences. In other words, the element A will have inverse, that is Ax congruent 1 mod n if it has a solution, the value of x will act as inverse for A, that is if and only if GCD of A and n is 1. So, A inverse exists if and only if GCD of A and n is 1. That means, we have proved that 2 and 3 are equivalent. Whenever A is a unit in Zn,
Yeah.
A and n are relatively prime.
Primes.
Similarly, by the previous theorem,
Relatively primes means
Relatively
madam,
prime
greatest
means-
common divisor of both.
A
should
and
be
GCD of A and B should be 1.
1. Exactly.
Relatively prime means the GCD of two elements must be equal to 1.
Yeah.
So, we have proved that 2 implies 3 and 3 implies 2, and we have already proved from the previous theorem, that is if A is a unit, then A is not a 0 divisor. So, we have proved that 2 implies 1 in the previous theorem. We now prove 1 implies 2, that is if A is not a unit, then GCD of A and n is D, where D is greater than 1, and then D divides A and D divides n. So, I can write A as D into x, and I can, because D divides n, I can write n as D into y, where of course x and y are two integers which lie between 0 and n. 0 is strictly less than x less than n, 0 is strictly less than y less than n. Then consider A into y. A into y is dxy, which is equal to x dy, because commutative law is true, which is equal to x into n, because d into y is n. So, that implies A into y is multiple of n. Multiple of n means A into y is congruent to 0 mod n, showing that A is 0 divisor, right. So, the above 1, 2, 3 conditions given in the theorem are equivalent conditions. Now, this leads to an important definition called integral domain. If R is a commutative ring with identity, R is not equal to 0, this structure is said to be an integral domain if R plus dot has no 0 divisors. Precisely in an integral domain, whenever product of two elements is 0, then definitely one of the two elements must be equal to 0. And another important property, madam, which you have in these integral domains is, whenever AB is equal to A into C, where A, B, C are elements of a ring, then you can cancel A both sides and say B is equal to C, provided A is not equal to 0. So, if AB is equal to AC, that implies either A is 0 or B is equal to C. This may not be true in general. For example, in Z6, you have 2 into 3 is same as 4 into 3, but you cannot cancel 3 and say 2 is equal to 4.
Exactly.
So, this is true only in these integral domains. And similarly, if A into B is 0, either A is 0, B is 0, because the integral domains do not have 0 divisors. And of course, we have given you the examples of integral domains. Z plus dot is an integral domain, Zn plus dot is an integral domain if and only if n is a prime. If n is composite, it is not an integral domain.
Because it has 0 divisors.
It has 0 divisors, because in Z6, 2 into 3 is 0, but 2 is not 0, 3 is not 0. Similarly, real numbers, rationals and complex numbers are all integral domains, but when it comes to Z cross Z, set of integers cross set of integers together with plus n dot is not an integral domain, because the element 1 comma 0 belongs to Z cross Z, 0 comma 1 also belongs to Z, but both are not 0 elements, but the product is 0 comma 0. So, Z cross Z has 0 divisors, therefore, it is not an integral domain. Similarly, R plus dot is there. R plus dot is an integral domain, then any subring S of R with identity is also an integral domain. Now, you have the next one is characteristic of a ring R, which my colleague will discuss.
Sir, I have heard about a characteristic of a ring. What is it, sir? Can you please explain it?
Yeah, let us look into this definition. When you consider a ring with two operations plus and dot, sometimes there may be a positive integer n for which this n times a becomes 0 for every a. If such a natural number exists, the smallest among such natural numbers is said to be the characteristic of a ring R. There are some rings for which this phenomenon happens. That means, given any ring R, one can find a smallest positive integer n such that n dot a equal to 0 for all a in R. Such a typical n, if exists, we say that n as the characteristic of the ring R. In case no such positive integer exists, then R is said to be of characteristic 0, right. But before going for some examples of that, I have got some interesting example of a typical ring which is not an integral domain. Namely, start with a non-empty set X, consider the power set of X, namely Px, and we have already seen in the previous examples that the operations being symmetric difference as the addition, intersection as the multiplication, this Px is going to become a ring with identity also, and wherein additive identity is empty set and the multiplicative identity the full set X. But surprising, its only units are single unit is available for this ring, namely capital X. All other proper subsets other than empty set and X, they are going to be 0 divisors for obvious reason. If I start with any set A not equal to phi, not equal to x, let us look into the product A dot A complement, which is equal to A intersection A complement, which is empty set. It means that every element of Px which is not equal to phi and which is not equal to x is going to become a zero divisor. As such, this Px is not going to be an integral domain, right? But let me now try to look at one interesting thing. If R is a ring with identity and n is a positive integer such that n equals 0 for all a in R, then the typical condition holds good if and only if n dot 1 equal to 0, where 1 is the multiplicative identity of R. That is, R is a ring with identity. If there is some n, a positive integer with the property that n equal to 0 for all a in R, this happens only when n dot 1 equal to 0 and vice versa.
Yeah.
The proof can be seen very easily. If n is a least positive integer such that n equal to 0 for all a belonging to R, then n dot 1 equal to 0. Why? Because 1 is already there in the ring, as such n times 1 should be equal to 0. It is a particular case of that. Conversely, if n is the least positive integer such that n times 1 is 0, then n dot a can be written as a plus a plus a plus n times, or a times 1 plus 1 plus etc. That a times n dot 1 comes in. Because n dot 1 is 0, that becomes a dot 0, which is equal to 0. So therefore, such a least positive integer n exists for a ring with identity if and only if n dot 1 equals 0. That is what we have seen, right? And another point, if you begin with an integral domain, it has got only two choices. Its characteristic may be either 0 or a prime number. It cannot be a composite number. For example, if I take the ring Z6, the ring of integers under addition modulo 6 and multiplication modulo 6, 6 is the CH, you can see,
Yeah.
because 6 times A is equal to 0 for any A belong to that. For that matter, you take Zn under addition modulo n and multiplication modulo n is going to become characteristic of the ring Zn.
Yeah.
That's what we get.
Okay.
But that n may be composite, may be prime also, in case more general rings under
Yeah.
addition modulo n and multiplication modulo n.
Yeah,
But when
exactly.
you deal with the integral domains, the situation is entirely different.
Different.
So that situation will
Yeah.
be discussed by our colleague.
Okay.
And Dr.
But
Kavali.
as sir told about definition of the characteristic of a ring, I have a doubt here. Can characteristic of a ring be a composite number?
No, madam. Characteristic of an integral domain
Yeah.
has only two values. Either it is 0 or it should be a prime number. If it is a composite number, then it cannot be that case. You have a proof over here. If R is an integral domain, if characteristic of R is 0, there is nothing to prove,
True. Yes.
because we are trying to prove either it is 0 or it is a prime. If let characteristic of R be n, then the least positive integer n such that n into a is 0 for all a belong to R is nothing but characteristic of the ring R. But by the previous theorem, you need not verify that n into a is 0 for all a belonging to R.
Yeah.
If you just prove that n into 1 is 0, then that least value of n will itself act like a characteristic of a ring.
Characteristic of a ring.
Suppose n is not a prime,
Yeah.
then you can write n as R into s, where 0 is less than R, less than n. S is also an integer which lies between 0 and n. 0 is strictly less than s, less than n. Then 0 is equal to n into 1 can be written as Rs times 1, that is R into 1 plus S into 1. So product of R into 1 and S into 1 is 0 implies either R into 1 is 0 or S into 1 is 0, because we are in integral domain.
Yeah.
R into 1 into S into 1 is 0 implies R into 1 is 0 or S into 1
Yeah,
is
yeah.
0. But if R into 1 is 0, that is a contradiction, because your integer R is a number less than n.
Yeah.
So in that case, R will act as characteristic.
Exactly.
Similarly, S into 1 is equal to 0 will also lead to a
Yeah.
contradiction, because S is a number less than n.
Yeah.
Therefore, you cannot write n as R into S, proving that n is a prime number.
Yeah.
So we now discuss some examples regarding these characteristics. So we will find out the characteristics of set of integers, that is the integral domain of integers, Zn and P of x. Characteristic of set of integers is 0, characteristic of Zn is n, characteristic of power set of x is 2, because you take any element a in P of x, a plus a is equal to 2 into a, which is nothing but null set. By the way, you have defined addition in P of x.
P of
We have
x.
defined addition P of x as symmetric difference. So, a plus a will turn out to be null set for all A belong to P of x, showing that characteristic of P of x is 2. Now, using this we can define what is called as a commutative ring. Together with some axioms it forms a field. Now, before going to the definition of a field, we will just compare the definitions of group, ring and integral domain. In a group, you have a non-empty set G. G together with a binary operation dot is said to be a group if it satisfies associative law,
Yeah.
and identity with respect to that binary operation exists, and every element has got an inverse.
Inverse.
And of course, with these 1, 2, 3, 4 conditions, it forms a group.
Yeah.
But if you have an extra condition that A dot B is equal to B dot A, it is called as commutative group.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, when you come to the case of rings, you have two binary operations, a non-empty set R together with two binary operations plus and dot is said to be a ring if R plus is abelian group, R dot is semi group, and you have the distributive laws.
So that means here we are using both operations.
Both
plus and
operation
dot.
plus and dot, and the condition 3 which
Yeah.
is distributive laws is the link
Yeah,
between these
exactly.
two binary operations.
That means this definition is a combination of both operations.
Yes, both the operations, and please compare the definition of group with that of ring,
Just like it is extension of
extension of that.
the group.
And extending the axioms of ring, you have what is called as integral domain.
Yeah.
Here R plus dot is a ring.
Yeah.
It has commutative property, that is A dot B is equal to B dot A.
Exactly.
And multiplicative identity 1 belongs to R,
Yeah.
and it has no zero divisors.
divisors.
Now, in addition to this, you have what is called as a field.
Yeah.
Field is again a non-empty set R together with two binary operations plus and dot. R together with plus is an abelian group. R together with the dot is abelian group, but here you have to keep one thing in your mind. The non-zero elements of R only will have inverse with respect to multiplication. So, you have to strictly speak that R minus 0 means, here I mean additive identity.
Additive identity.
From R remove the additive identity,
Okay.
and that remaining set
Yeah.
will form an abelian group with respect to multiplication.
Okay.
Multiplication identity 1 exists, non-zero elements have multiplicative inverses, and of course, you have the commutative law with respect to multiplication, and you also have the
Yeah.
distributive laws.
Yeah, yeah.
So, R plus dot with these axioms forms a field.
Field.
Now, you also have one more concept, what is called as division ring.
Okay.
Division ring is, you have again R plus dot. R together with addition is
Multiplication.
an abelian group. R together with the dot is a semi group. R together with the dot, only the non-zero elements form a ring with from a group with respect to multiplication. Only difference between field and division ring is, in a division ring you do not have the commutative property with respect to multiplication.
Multiplicative.
Division ring is also called as skew field, madam. So, if you compare these axioms and study, it will be very easy for the students
Yeah.
to remember the definitions of these different algebraic structures.
Definitely they can find the difference between all these groups, rings, integral domains and fields.
Yes.
Sir, as madam told that the definition of the field, so there are integral domains and fields. Do they have any connection with each other?
Yeah, they are closed. They have got very close link
Yeah.
with each other. Basically, fields and integral domains are rings only.
Okay.
So we can certainly expect some connection between those two kinds of rings.
Definitely. Okay.
And every field is definitely an integral domain, but
Yeah.
not every integral domain
Okay.
is a field.
Maybe.
If both of them happen to be same, why do we keep different names?
Exactly.
So they become same.
Yeah.
So that's not the case. But certainly, every field is an integral domain, but converse need not be true all the case. Let's try to look at the slide, please. Every field is an integral domain, but the converse is not necessarily true. Converse need not be true. Let's try to look at this important point. Every field is an integral domain, and converse not necessarily true. Let's look at this one. Let R plus comma dot is a field. Then we shall show that it's an integral domain, right? Because field has got no zero divisors, it's an integral domain obviously.
Yes, exactly, sir.
But you can see this example, Z plus comma dot is very much an integral domain, but it's not a field because other than 0, other than 1, there are no other elements which admit multiplicative
1 and
inverses.
minus 1.
1 is the only element which admits multiplicative inverse, and other elements do not have any multiplicative inverses. As such, this cannot be a ring. ఈ వలయాల పూర్ణాంకాల వలయాలను తీసుకుంటే ఇది ఒక పూర్ణాంక ప్రదేశమే కానీ క్షేత్రం కాదు.
క్షేత్రం
క్షేత్రం ఎందుకు కాదంటే ఒకటేనే మూలకానికి తప్ప ఇతర ఏ శూన్యేతర మూలకానికి కూడా గుణకరం దృష్ట్యా విలోమం లేదు.
1 and -1.
1 and -1 అనుకో 1 and -1కి
సార్ ఇది అన్ని సందర్భాల్లో కూడా పూర్ణాంక ప్రదేశాలు క్షేత్రాలు కావా, కొన్ని సందర్భాలలోనేనా?
అన్ని పూర్ణాంక ప్రదేశాలు క్షేత్రాలు కావు.
అంటే కొన్ని సందర్భాలు. ఓకే.
క్షేత్రాలని పూర్ణాంక ప్రదేశాలతో పూర్ణాంక ప్రదేశాలని కూడా క్షేత్రాలు అయితే అట్లాంటి ప్రత్యేక వలయానికి 2 పేర్లు ఎందుకుంటాయి? కాబట్టి సహజంగానే రెండు ఏదో రకమైన భిన్నమైన స్ట్రక్చర్స్ కదా. ఏంటంటే ప్రతి క్షేత్రం కూడా ఒక పూర్ణాంక ప్రదేశమే, కానీ ప్రతి పూర్ణాంక ప్రదేశం క్షేత్రం కానక్కర్లేదు. ఉదాహరణకు మనం చెప్పాం కదా, పూర్ణాంకాల వలయాన్ని తీసుకుంటే దాంట్లో 1, -1 అనే 2 మూలకాలకు తప్ప మిగతా వేటికి కూడా మిగతా ఏ శూన్యేతర మూలకానికి కూడా విలోమాలు లేవు. సో అందువల్ల అది పూర్ణాంక ప్రదేశమే కానీ క్షేత్రం కాదు. సో క్షేత్రాలన్నీ పూర్ణాంక ప్రదేశాలే, కానీ పూర్ణాంక ప్రదేశాలని క్షేత్రాలు కానక్కర్లేదు అనేదానికి ఒక మంచి ఎగ్జాంపుల్. రైట్. అట్లాగే బట్ మీరు ఒక సహజంగా ఒక ప్రశ్న అడగొచ్చు, సరే పూర్ణాంక ప్రదేశాలని కానీ క్షేత్రాలు కాకపోతే పూర్ణాంకాల ప్రదేశాలపై ఏమన్నా కొన్ని నియమాలను చొప్పించడం ద్వారా అట్లాంటి వాటిని క్షేత్రాలుగా మార్చొచ్చా అనే క్వశ్చన్. దానికి ఆన్సర్ ఉంది. మీరు తీసుకున్న పూర్ణాంక ప్రదేశం కనుక పరిమిత పూర్ణాంక ప్రదేశం అయితే అది ఖచ్చితంగా
అంటే ఫైనైట్ ఇంటిగ్రల్ డొమైన్.
Every finite integral domain is a field. But that finiteness is imposed on the integral domain. That structure again leads to field structure.
So that is the condition.
That is the condition which is going to make that integral domain a field. So in that particular case, in other words, when you look into finite rings, when you look into the class of finite rings, there is no difference between the concepts of fields and integral domains. They become same. That's what we realize, right? So we found some typical proofs.
Anyway,
here.
This is very interesting, sir.
Yeah, it's quite interesting. But there is another typical example of a division ring which is not a field. Madam has spoken about division ring.
Exactly.
Division ring is almost same as field, but the commutative is missing in the division ring under multiplication. Whereas that is ensured in a field. A classic example of a division ring which is not a field is the ring of quaternions. That is the set of elements of this particular form. R is equal to A plus Bi plus Cj plus Dk. A, B, C, D are real numbers. Then these two elements are such that the product of these two are different. The product of these two are different, and that's known to be a division ring. You can check all those things. You can check all those things.
Madam, we also have...
Madam, what are the nilpotent and idempotent elements of a ring?
An element A in a ring R is said to be nilpotent element if there exists an integer n, natural number n, such that a to the power of n is equal to 0. If for a given element A belong to R, if a to the power of n is equal to 0 for some positive integer n, such an element A is called as nilpotent element. Similarly, if an element A belong to R is with the property that A square is equal to A, such an element is called as idempotent element. If you can see the examples in Zn plus dot, that is multiplication and addition modulo n, it is a field if and only if n is a prime, and Zn is an integral domain. In R plus dot and Q plus dot and C plus dot are all fields. Z plus dot is an example of integral domain which is not a field. Now these nilpotent elements and idempotent elements will give rise to some theorems. If R is an integral domain and A is an element of R, then the only nilpotent elements in R is the 0 element. That is, if R is an integral domain and A is an element of R, then the only nilpotent element of R is the 0 element. Because if A to the power of n is 0, A power n can be written as A dot A power n minus 1. That implies either, because we are in an integral domain, either A should be 0 or A power n minus 1 should be 0, but A power n minus 1 cannot be 0 because n is the least positive integer such that A power n is 0. So, A power n minus 1 cannot be 0, implies A is equal to 0. Therefore, A is equal to 0. So, if A to the power of n is equal to 0 in an integral domain, then obviously your A must be equal to 0. And one more theorem you have, if A is a nilpotent element in a ring with identity, then 1 plus A and 1 minus A are units of that. The proof can be seen in the theorem.
Okay, anyway madam, nilpotent means A to the power n equal to 0, and idempotent element means
A square is equal to
A square is equal to A. So anyway, according to your definition, sir, I came to know that replicas of normal subgroups of rings are, these are also in rings,
Yeah.
called as ideals, you know that. But is it true, sir?
యా నిజం చెప్పాలంటే సమూహవాదానికి వలయవాదానికి చాలా పోలికలు ఉన్నాయి.
Okay.
పోలికలు ఉండడం కూడా వైచిత్ర్యం కాదు, ఎందుకంటే అక్కడ ఒక ప్రక్రియ దృష్ట్యా అదొక సమూహం, ఇక్కడ కూడా కూడిక దృష్ట్యా ఒక వలయం కూడా సమూహం అవుతుంది.
Exactly.
కాబట్టి సమూహాలకు ఉన్న దాదాపు అన్ని ధర్మాలని కూడా వీటి కూడా ఏమన్నా ఆలోచించవచ్చు అనే ప్రశ్న సహజంగా వస్తుంది.
Exactly,
అక్కడ
sir.
ఏవైతే అభిలంబ ఉపసమూహాలు ఉన్నాయో
Yeah.
అట్లాంటి అక్కడైతే ఏవైతే పాత్రను పోషిస్తున్నాయో సమూహవాదంలో
Yeah.
అలాంటి పాత్రని పోషించే ఇక్కడ కూడా కొన్ని భావనలు ఉన్నాయి.
Yeah.
ఉదాహరణకి ఆదర్శాలు.
Yeah.
ఆదర్శాలు అనేది వలయంలో ఎట్లాంటి పాత్రను పోషిస్తాయంటే ఎట్లానైతే అభిలంబ ఉపసమాలు సమూహాదంలో పోషిస్తే అలాంటి పాత్రను ఇవి కూడా పోషిస్తాయి. అది ఒక పెద్ద చరిత్ర, దాని గురించి చదవాలంటే కొంచెం టైం అనేది పడుతుంది.
Yeah,
సో
exactly.
దే ఆర్ కాల్డ్ ఐడియల్స్ ఇన్ ద
Okay,
రింగ్స్.
anyway, it is true, sir.
Yes, ideals are replicas of normal subgroups.
Okay, sir.
What is the role is played by normal subgroups
Yeah.
in the group theory? Similar
Okay.
role is played by the ideals in the ring theory.
Yes.
That's what we can see.
Okay. Sir, anyway, madam, in a particular class of rings, it is known that some kind of ideals lead to creation of new fields. Is it
Yes.
true, madam? Briefly explain it.
Yes, you have different types of ideals: principal ideal, maximal ideal, and prime ideals. Principal ideal is an ideal where an ideal can be written as A into capital R, that is elements of I are A into small r, where small r belongs to R. Such an ideal is called as principal ideal.
Yeah.
That is, an ideal is nothing but is something similar to cyclic groups.
Yeah.
A principal ideal is an ideal generated by a single element, and any ring in which all the ideals are principal ideals is called as principal ideal ring.
That means, madam, some kind of ideals lead to creation of new fields. This means.
Maximal ideals
Okay.
lead to
Okay.
creation of
Okay.
fields.
So in the sense we can say the homomorphism of groups is there, but this is the similar concept of in rings also.
Yes, you have the
Yes.
fundamental theorem
Yeah,
of
exactly,
homomorphism in
madam.
rings also.
Exactly.
Where kernel is
Yeah, yeah.
nothing but it is given rise by the
Yeah.
ideals.
Okay.
And you have
So anyway, similar concept is there in rings
yes,
also.
definitely it is there.
Okay. Now I will sum up this program. In this program, I think you have learnt about the concept of the rings, concept of the integral domain, field and ideals with examples and some interesting elementary properties of regarding all these. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
madam.
you. Thank you, madam, for giving us this opportunity.
Yeah, for
Thank you so
participating
much.
in this program. Thank you very
Thank you
much.
so much.
both
Thank
of
you. Thank you, madam.